The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, good morning. We're gonna go ahead and start in 2 minutes. I'm gonna give people a few more minutes to trickle in. I know that we're scheduled to start at 10. Um, but yeah, we'll start in the next couple of minutes. Thanks. Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Wednesday morning for our advocacy webinar this month. Happy to be back. COVID-19 has really thrown us in for a loop, but I was happy to participate in the mini meetings that we were having, and now we are back to our regularly scheduled program, at least when it comes to the advocacy webinars. Um, so yeah, today is actually going to be I guess, special edition of the advocacy webinar. I really want to go in depth on two pieces of legislation that are currently being looked at in the General Assembly: House Bill 669 and House Bill 674. Now, you guys may recall um, my mentioning of these two bills during the last couple spec committee meetings. The bills have since passed out of the House. We were kind of late to the game in our advocacy in the House, but when it comes to the Senate, it's a new game. So we've been fortunate to have already been able to talk to a couple senators about this and really start to frame things for them before they even have a chance to take a look at it. So today we're going to go in depth into those bills. I'm going to do things a little differently. We're in a new fiscal year, so I'm going to try things a little different. A lot of people ask me, how do you get this information? How do you figure out what's in these bills and what's not in these bills? So I'm actually going to walk you guys through, how to look up legislation, and we'll actually use the bill analyses for these bills in my analysis of them. So I can kind of explain to you guys point by point what our issues are and where you guys can help. Um, Before I get started, you guys will see that there are two handouts available. If for some reason you cannot access the handouts, let me know. I can also email them after the webinar. But one handout is a phone script, and the other handout is a letter template, so that you guys can contact your senators using either of these templates, whether you want to send a letter on behalf of your organization or yourself, or whether you want to call them to let them know that there is an issue with these bills. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so I already have the analyses for these bills pulled up, but I did want to walk you guys through how to get to these analyses. So it's actually very simple. As you can see, I have Google up. so that you guys can see me go through it. So go to just type in Ohio legislature, right? It'll pull up, these options. Usually the first option is www.legislature.ohio.gov. Click that, or you can go to search legislation, either one. So you'll see these tabs at the top. What you need to do is go to the legislation tab. You'll see a pull down. Go to search legislation. Click that, and then you'll see here there's a bunch of information. So General Assembly, this is the General Assembly that we're currently in, is the 133rd. If for some reason you want to go back and research bills from last General Assembly or the General Assembly before that, you can click these to go back. They do archive all the information for all the General Assemblies. So if for some reason you want to go even further back, let's just say 2011, 2010, 2009, you can get to the archives through the Legislative Services Commission site, but that can be another edition for another day. So let's start. We'll go for 669. So all you have to do is type in HB, stands for House Bill, and then 669, enter, and it'll pull it up. As you can see, you have the bill number, you have the sponsors, and you have the status. It says the last big action taken on this bill is that it was passed out of the House, right? And it gives like a brief definition in the title. You click on this, it'll bring you to this page. You have the primary sponsors, Representatives Swearingen and Larray. If you go to documents, you will have all the text and analyses and fiscal notes that have been created by our Legislative Services Commission so far. And if you need to look at the status, where this bill is, go to the status, and you can see that. So it was introduced on May 20th, referred to committee, and then you can see how quickly it went through. Now, the interesting thing about this site, it doesn't show you how many committee hearings it's had. It just shows you it was reported, a substitute bill was reported, and then it was passed. But you can see how quick, within 2 weeks, this bill moved out. So, and then it was introduced into the Senate on the 12th, and it was recently referred to Senate Agriculture and Natural Resources. If for some reason you're interested in the votes, you can click the votes. If you click show breakdown, it'll show you the breakdown. It was favorable. It was favorably passed both out of the committee and by the chamber. There were only 8 no's, 87 yeses. So the support was pretty overwhelming in the House. And again, I think the reason for that is, us as advocates, as preventionists, we weren't really given the opportunity to jump in the ring, given how quickly this bill passed through. And then you can see some of the committee activity, the testimonies from the proponents, right? Um, and you can see all of that. And if you want to see our testimony from Prevention Action Alliance, it'll tell you the committee hearing date, and it'll show you um, that we testified, and then you can download our testimony as well. So just wanted to give you guys a quick look into how to look up this information. Now you can do this for every bill. There are other services that will give you information much quicker, such as Gongwer, which is a paid service that I know Prevention Action Alliance uses and I use in order to keep track of these bills. But they do a pretty good job of keeping these bills up to date. But if you want the most up-to-date information, the best way to do so is to either go through us, just let me know because I track these daily, or to contact the sponsors or the chair of that committee, and they can give you an even quicker look into what's happening. So let's start with 669. And as you guys can see here, I have the bill analysis for 669 up. 669 and 674 have been framed and sold as a response, an economic response to the COVID-19 pandemic, trying to help our restaurants out, trying to help our bars out. But once you go through these analyses, you'll see that there's a massive overstep done within the provisions of this bill by the industry. And if for some reason I'm going too quickly or something's not clear, feel free to enter your question in the chat box. I have it up. My setup today is a bit different. I'm actually doing this from home. I'm used to having 3 screens when doing this, and now I have 2. I know, but not a massive issue, but it could, decrease my or increase my response time. So let's get started. So first big issue with this bill, to-go sales. Now, you guys might remember that there's an executive order out right now that allows individuals to take drinks home with a meal. So this is kind of what the sponsors are trying to model this proposal after. The difference is there's no drink limit. There's no requirement that the drinks have to be accompanied by a meal, and also this includes the ability for drinks to be delivered via delivery services such as Uber Eats, Grubhub. Those types of services can deliver drinks directly to the consumer. And when you don't have any language about drink limits or any language about uh, deliverer training, a lot of issues come up, right? A lot of issues come up. First of all, a lot of these drivers uh, doing the delivering are 18, 19, 20, sometimes 21 years old, right? They don't know how to check an ID properly. They don't have the training necessary to say, okay, I show up to a house, someone's clearly overly intoxicated, or this is a dangerous environment. Maybe I have to call the paramedics. Maybe I have to have authorities get involved. They don't have that training, right? So you're not only putting them at risk, you're putting the consumer at risk, and the restaurant or bar delivering the drinks might be liable. Grubhub, Uber Eats might be liable. So it's a massive issue that's not answered by this. Um, Additionally, we know based on science and biology that it's always better to have food accompanied with that. It decreases the absorption process or slows down the absorption process. So the fact that food is not required to be with these as well is an issue. And also, the executive order has an end date, right? If you want this to be a response to COVID, you want this to have an end date. And as you can see, there's no end date. There's no provision saying that after a certain period of time, this will wear out, or you have to get special permission. There's nothing, no language about that. So you're talking about to-go sales. It's completely unfettered. There's no consumer protections, and that is a massive issue for us. Now, if you have any questions about that or the language in this analysis, just let me know. I'm going to move towards the next issue, which is the expansion of the sales area. That's the biggest thing. And as a whole, we don't like this bill. We don't like either of these bills. I do have issue with the delivery of spirituous liquor, but at this point, we're kind of picking and choosing our battles as well. And I know that this for us is a massive issue. So the language says it would allow a qualified permit holder to expand the area in which it may sell alcohol beverages by the individual drink for on-premises consumption as follows, right? So in any area that's within the permit holder's property. So we're talking parking lots, maybe sidewalks around there. You're talking about any outdoor area of public property. So if there is a bar adjacent to a park, if they receive a written consent from the local government authority uh, to use that park as an area that they can expand into, they have that ability to use that. And another problematic piece is the expansion of this sales area into private property, right? So if you have a bar that's adjacent to a home, and then on the other side it's adjacent to a park, that creates a massive liability question, right? When you're talking about private property, there's no language in here that states that you know the authorities have the ability to enter the private property if something goes down. How do you police or enforce or monitor the interactions between the private property owner and the patrons? What if a resident has a couple handles of liquor or some other drink that they bring to patrons in their backyard, right? Because they do have to stay outside the private property, but how do you monitor that? If a fight breaks out, if something happens inside the home that puts patrons at risk or in danger, how do you monitor that? It's a massive issue. It's a massive legal issue. And it's going to lead to increased costs for law enforcement, a bunch of issues. So this is a massive problem with this bill. As you can see, another big problem is the liquor permit holders are only required to tell the Division of Liquor Control and the investigative unit of the Department of Public Safety one day in advance before the expansion, right? One day in advance. So you're telling me that you're going to allow a massive, massive sales area expansion, and then you're only going to give the enforcement agency, the monitoring agency, 1 day to figure out, what are the limits, how big can this get? I mean, it's a massive problem, and it's pretty short-sighted. And as I mentioned before, it really demonstrates how problematic and how much of an overstep uh, this bill is. This goes beyond COVID. This goes beyond an economic response. This is just unfettered expansion and deregulation. So this bill is pretty simple. Those are the two main components, right? You have the to-go sales and you have the expansion of the sales area. Those are the two issues that we really have an issue with. Those are the two issues that in my conversations with different senators that I've been honing in on, just to show them and can kind of walk them through different scenarios where it could be an issue. So if you have, if you combine these two, let's just say you have a liquor permit holder expands to a private property, and then you have the private property having drinks delivered while patrons are in their backyard from another entity. I mean, it just creates a mess, and there's nothing within this um, that explains, what the rules are, who's liable for what. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Again, if you have any questions from going too fast, please let me know. Moving on to 674, there are three main components within 674 that we as an agency have issues with, right? There's a lot of language about amnesty from enforcement measures and the sole and exclusive regulation of alcohol. This is just some codifying language from the industry to help with lawsuits. Nothing that we're too concerned about. We were concerned about the amnesty enforcement measures, but because they put this end date on here, it kind of makes it a bit better. But really, the first thing within those three components that we're concerned with is the sale of alcohol on Sundays. So currently, in order to get in order to sell alcohol on Sundays, if you're a liquor permit holder, you need to receive a D6 liquor permit, right? That's how you that's your permit that allows you to sell alcohol on Sundays. That permit is given by the municipality, and in order to receive that permit, you need to have a vote, right? The municipality needs to have a vote on whether the permit holder can have that. So at the end of the day, this is all about local control. Local communities know who their good and bad actors are. If they have voted not to let a bar sell, alcohol on Sundays or some other uh, liquor permit holder not to sell alcohol on Sundays, there's a reason for that. So this bill would eliminate the D6 permit, essentially giving everyone the ability to sell alcohol on Sundays. Now, besides the massive, availability expansion that this would bring about, you go to the fiscal analysis for this, you scroll down, and the elimination of the D6 liquor permit, right? And I'm right here, guys, just so you can follow along. The elimination of the D6 liquor permit would lead to a $5.9 million loss in revenue, right? So when I say $5.9 million loss in revenue for who? So we're talking about a loss in revenue for these entities right here, right? So the D6 liquor permit revenue goes to a special fund, Fund 7066, right? And the funds within Fund 7066 are divvied up between three entities. You have the State Liquor Regulatory Fund, you have municipalities and townships, and you have statewide treatment and prevention. So us. So if you were to eliminate the D6 permit, let's just say today, based on numbers from this past year, these are the impacts that we're looking at, right? We're looking at 2 million, $2.6 million loss for the state regulatory fund. We're talking about a 2 million and change loss in funding for municipalities and townships, and we're talking about a $1.1 million loss from our statewide treatment and prevention fund. And for those of you who have been around for a while, every 2 years, we go to the General Assembly either asking for sustained funding or asking for more funding because we need to do the work. So essentially, you're eliminating this permit. You're expanding availability, and you're taking funding away from the entities that are responsible for monitoring, enforcing, and correcting any issues that occur through that expansion. I mean, it is ridiculous, but so that's a massive issue. The next thing is for us, and again, similar to 669, we have issues with pretty much every part of these bills, but again, we're picking our battles here. The local option elections for 24-hour sales. So this bill creates a permit that would allow for 24-hour sales, right? So it's a K liquor permit. That's the permit that would be created. Um, and I believe that it is only for, let's see, 24-hour sales, yes, for Monday through Sunday. So if a liquor permit holder has that, they'll be able to sell 24 hours Monday through Sunday. Now, the fact that this is a local option, I'm pretty confident that most municipalities and most localities would not want a liquor permit holder to have 24-hour sales, but the fact that we're offering this is a problem. You also have the expansion of the last call hour, right? So it would create a liquor permit titled the J liquor permit that would expand hours from the end of operation hour from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. for Saturdays and Sundays. That's a permit. Um, and then, you have the expansion of the DORA, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, depending on what community you're part of. Outdoor refreshment area. They eliminated the acreage limit. They eliminated the number limit of how many doors you can have in a municipality. And then, lastly, they have this social media component, which would allow a distributor, manufacturer, trade marketing professional, solicitor, broker of alcoholic beverages to use social media to cater to their patrons, right? And I understand that social media is a tool that a lot of people use. It gives you free uh, marketing ability, free advertising ability, but there's no consumer protections when it comes to our youth, you know? So when it comes to the bad actors, individuals who want to take advantage of this, based on the language in this bill currently, they could use geolocating and all other types of tools that social media users use to target youth and to target at-risk populations. So there is no consumer protection language in there to make sure that bad actors, similar to what we've seen in the vaping industry, similar to what we've seen in tobacco and other substances, we want to make sure that this isn't abused. And there's no language to make sure that that abuse doesn't occur. So, in sum, those are the issues within these two bills that we have. Um, if anyone has any questions, please let me know. But the key to this, the key to stopping these bills, the key to getting these consumer protections in these bad bills to make these bills a little better is you guys. You guys are the key. We need you guys to contact your legislators, to contact your senators specifically, to let them know that this is an issue. And I'm actually going to have, and I'm going to see if she's here, Nina. I had a great call with Senator Peterson last week, and Nina Raines was able to participate in that call with me to kind of explain and walk the senator through these issues. And Nina, I'm going to allow you to use your mic. Let's see. Uh,
Can you hear me?
I can. Okay, yes. It seems like we're working out.
Great.
Hey, so Nina,
Yeah.
if you just want to give a little insight to everyone, and I know I had a call with Jody and Kerry Metzger yesterday. We had a talk with Senator Hottinger, but Nina, I just wanted to give you a chance to explain how that experience went for you, and to kind of hit on the importance of local coalitions participating in these calls, because being a constituent is a very powerful position to be in.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the experience was interesting. We're speaking with the senator and he didn't seem very interested in what we had to say. Right now, this had just come out of the House and it hadn't gotten to him yet, and he pretty much let us know right off the bat, that I got a 30-second rundown. I don't really look into this until it gets to me. So I really, I don't know anything about it yet. So then that was kind of, he would give us some, just say, okay, I hear you. So it felt like he didn't really feel what we had to say was important. So it was a little hard because I'm very passionate about prevention, about our youth, and about a lot of the things that are in this House bill. And I wanted him to be passionate about that too. But, it was kind of, I couldn't gauge that from him. But we also had our call interrupted, and he allowed us to get back on the call when he had more time. So then that might have been some feedback, like he really was interested in hearing what we had to say. So, I just considered it more of like we were planting seeds. So that way, when he does look over this bill, then maybe some of the things that we had focused on, he'll remember that. And then also I did my homework on who he is, because he is from the town that that I serve. And so, kind of getting an understanding of which way his votes usually go and why they go that way, so that I could also put some, motivating information, like the fact that we would be losing revenue. That would be very concerning to him. So yeah, it was a great experience. I'm glad I got to participate in that. I do intend to continue to show, share my position on this, because as you've said before, it's very important. You don't just show up once, you keep showing up, and so that they get to know you, and that way we have a little bit more say in what's going on. So
Exactly. I'm happy again, that you participated, but I mean, you made a very good point. It's important for us not to get discouraged based on the body language, or I guess uh verbal, or lack of engage, verbal content, or however you want to call it. Just we don't want to get discouraged by how a senator reacts initially to our points, right? Given that we're jumping in early, the most important thing is to frame it for them, right? Some senators are going to be more passionate than others. I, for one, like you said, the fact that he gave us a call back showed that there was interest. He wasn't over the moon, kind of saying, yeah, like this is a problem, but he did acknowledge our issues and said that, at the end of the call, he did say that he believes that the House went a little too quickly with this, and that he hopes and believes that a lot of the issues that we brought up are going to be worked through in committee. So, guys, I know talking to legislators sometimes can be intimidating. It can be discouraging if they're not as engaged as we want them to be. But it's all about planting seeds, because at the end of the day, they all have their priorities. But when these bills come across their desks and you have these conversations with them ahead of time, bells start to ring and they start to connect the dots, saying, oh, I had a constituent who had an issue with this. I personally am not passionate for it, but given that they're a constituent, I'm going to look at this bill through this certain lens. So it's important that we still have these conversations initially, regardless of how the senator or representative reacts. And I see that we're coming close on, or we're coming close to our end time here. But I did want to show you guys where these bills are probably going to end up and where they have ended up. So 669 has been assigned to a committee. The committee that it's been assigned to is Senate Agriculture. I have it up right here. If you type in Ohio Senate Agriculture Committee, this should pop up. And these are the members of the committee. Now, if you recognize any of these members as your own, I would love for you to send me an email, and I'll probably do some reaching out as well, so that we can set up some time with these individuals to walk them through what our issues are with these two bills. Now, we already had a meeting with Senator Peterson, who's also the Senate pro tempore, so he's second in line. The chair is Senator Hoagland. I have a call with Senator O'Brien tomorrow. And we have a good working relationship with Senator Coonsey, and I did reach out to Senator Johnson. So, and we have a good relationship with Senator Feder as well. So we're in a pretty good spot, but we really need to hit on the issues and really start to frame it for them. Um, and this is where you guys can come in. Um, in the handout section, you will see the alcohol phone script or alcohol bill phone script and the PAA alcohol policy letter template. These are templates that you guys can use um, to contact your offices. For those of you who are concerned about advocacy versus lobbying and losing funding, I recommend you call after hours. I recommend that you send a letter template. You don't have to mention the bills by name, but say that alcohol policy weakening or deregulation is a problem, and explain that. Throw some statistics in. These are supposed to be tools and are supposed to give you guys a baseline to work from. Feel free to throw your your organization name on there, your logo, and send these to them. We really need to have a grassroots effort against these bills. Especially given that this is an election year, these senators and representatives want to get your support. They want to know that they're doing a good job because it's an election year. So let's utilize that, and let's advocate or advocate for or against things that we need to advocate for or against, and that we're passionate about. I had a great call with Kerry Metzger, Jody, former Representative Al Landis, and Senator Hottinger yesterday. So people are listening. They're willing to listen. And additionally, if you happen to be a constituent of the Senate President, Senator Ophoff, also give me a call as well. We're trying to schedule a meeting with him as well to walk him through what our issues are. But long story short, guys, I just wanted to walk you through these issues. I want to give you guys tools. If for some reason you can't access the handouts, I will send it out after this. But I will leave this webinar open for the next couple of minutes just in case you guys have any questions. If you want to call me, feel free to give me a call. I can put my cell phone number in the chat just so that you guys can have it, given that I'm working from home. But feel free to give me a ring or shoot me an email if you have any specific questions about these bills and how you guys can help. So I'm just going to pause us for a little bit, let any questions come through, and then we'll close it out. Alrighty, doesn't seem like we have any questions. I hope this all made sense to you guys. I know the format of today's webinar was a little different. If you guys want to see updated information on the medical marijuana program, just feel free to give me an email or shoot me an email. We do post information weekly in our legislative updates as well. So if you are registered for our legislative updates, we do have info updating the numbers from that program in those updates. But other than that, any specific questions can be sent to me. I put my email in the chat and my cell phone number. So feel free to to shoot me an email or give me a call. All right, everyone. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.